Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. On the table we have Riders Republic, and today I wanted to share a few tips on getting to the legendary status in terms of stunts in skiing. Now, one of the really cool things about this game is it has just the regular progression mode, and it also has a Zen mode. The Zen mode allows for you to just freely play the game. You can explore the whole world. You can fast travel to whatever location you want to fast travel. In fact, sometimes you can fast travel to specific parks and skating rings or whatever it is. And I think this is the very best feature of this game. So, in order for you to basically hone down your skills in whatever sport, but for this video, we're talking about skiing in a sense, you really want to take advantage of these. So what you want to do is you want to open up the map and find a spot that you can just do some controlled testing. And I think that's one of the more important things, because this controlled testing is going to allow for you to be able to, number one, hone down exactly what it is this game's control scheme feels like and get a feel for how you play the game and how you respond and how you react. I see that one thing that a lot of players may complain about or even talk about will be the way the game controls. Now, the very best thing that the person can do is basically just go into something like this and just start to freestyle and run around. This is the very best thing to do. So a general sense of basically filling out the game, understanding the way the controls work and understanding how you play is the very first thing to getting you to doing legendary stunts. In this freestyle video, which I'll let play to the end, you can see that I'm having a little bit of issues, but as the video begins to progress, it becomes better and better for me, because I just noticed that my own control scheme, my own performance competence just began to increase in a very short period of time. Now, that was not the only thing that helped me, and that will take me to the second thing that I feel will be very helpful for anyone who's basically trying to improve their skill in skiing, and that is using your speedometer. So there's something really cool about this game. Now, I call it a speedometer, but it basically is your speed calculator. It tells you how fast you're going at any given time. In this game, it's on the bottom right corner of the screen while you're looking at it. Now, here's the really interesting thing. The speed at which you're going is going to enable you to be able to take on certain stunts, enable you to be able to climb to different heights. And sometimes you may be trying to use a ramp and it will probably tell you or hint you that, you may have very minimal air control depending on how fast you're going, therefore causing crashes and all kinds of bad landings. So the speedometer is there for you to just pretty much say, okay, I'm going to be able to just regulate my speed and figure out what kinds of speed will work for different kinds of slopes and in different scenarios. So that's one thing you want to really do. So your right trigger basically increases your speed and your left trigger pretty much, brakes, while you're skiing. Now, skiing is very interesting. You really got to work towards braking when you're trying to stop your player from pretty much just, flying everywhere, because your player moves very fast while you're skiing. I think there's a very interesting kind of physics that works to make the skiing fun and a little bit enhanced. I mean, that's pretty much what you're going to see. So make sure you're paying attention to what your speed is when you're trying to do specific stunts and what directions you're facing. The final aspect is using the gameplay and controller settings to your advantage. So some of the options under the gameplay settings include the landing mode, the grind, the board/skis air control, and the bike air control. These have their descriptions on the right side of the screen, and it tells you basically what they do. It's not that difficult, but you have to understand that depending on the skill level or depending on whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you want to test out all of these things in order to get a feel for exactly what works for you. What was interesting is I changed my grind while skiing to manual mode. So that was quite interesting. When I left it on auto, it basically, didn't grant me any special bonuses. I think maybe it might be psychological. I just wanted to land better and, try my best to be able to get, more points in terms of how the, grind mode works. And it's actually not for beginners. So you may not benefit from this. So you might want to stick with auto in terms of your skiing. I also noticed that, in grind mode for me, biking, it didn't work for me. So I know for certain that when I'm skiing, I have to actually move to manual for grind and auto for biking. Air control is also another thing that really does work. It's an option that you can use. It's also very useful when your grind is set to manual, because you're moving all over the place. And then you also have an air braking control. This is an advanced tip that I would say you really have to use when you're kind of coming up from the ground before you eventually develop the accuracy and precision. And if you want to do axis inversion just to maybe help, I think that might be something that works for you. You can also do axis inversion for air sports as well. So you have to make sure that you kind of test out the different sporting activities in order for you to understand what that will do for you, or how that will benefit you. terms of controller settings, one thing that also helps me, if you notice, my controller settings has my left dead zone size very, very low for my left stick. This is my input controls for left and right movement and turns. And so I have it very low. When you put it on default, it's about 0.3 and 0.3 on both of them. So this is on my PlayStation 5 controller. I have it set to like 0.15, and I think for this one 0.25 or something lower, which is basically my right stick, which is my camera. So this is something that you also want to take advantage of in terms of that. You can also do some controller mapping settings, which is actually pretty good. I would not necessarily start doing this yet. You want to get yourself in a place where you have some good control, unless you're coming from another video game where you already are used to some kind of its control scheme, then you can pretty much go that route. Anyways, these are just 3 tips to take your game, especially in skiing, from basic to legendary. As long as you put in the time and practice, I believe you're going to see the rewards. For me, short practice sessions are really good. That way I don't get bored, but I make sure that I stay consistent with them. This is basically what you do in video games that you need mastery. Coming from a fighting game, I think it's not necessarily too challenging to apply this. But if you want to have some fun in the game, you could just run around the open world. But I would say those controlled environments, those little skating rinks and ramps, I think they're basically going to help you in this game. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like in the video, or you can just comment, or you could dislike as well. That way I can improve my content for you guys. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Peace out.